Greetings from Team Rynoh. So today we're really excited to launch our new verification enhancements. This is also known as RynohVerfi, and this is going to improve the security and efficiency of all of your real estate transactions by helping to prevent against wire fraud. So our goal here in this session is to really give you a seamless activation experience. So I'm going to provide 4 easy steps that you'll go ahead and use to get activated. Step number 1 is initiating that account activation. So you'll select the accounts that you want to run transactions through Verify for. So you will be toggling those accounts either on or off in that screen. Up next, you'll enable that service, RynohVerfi, and then grant specific users in your organization access. Finally, you'll set up your verification criteria. This will be determining which types of disbursements or transactions will be verified and which won't. And then ultimately, you do have an option to do a manual process where you'll enter in your routing and banking information manually in the event that it doesn't pull in automatically. So I will show you that screen as well. So with that, let's dive into Rynoh. I'll share my screen and we'll go ahead and take a look. So the screen that you're probably most familiar with is this Rynoh Live dashboard, where you'll basically see a view of your morning report and have the other settings and things that kind of underline Rynoh. Now, to switch over to the RynohVerfi offering, you're going to use this little drop down in the top left corner, and you'll see a module called Rynoh Funding. So you'll want to click into that, and you'll be greeted with this Manage Accounts screen. This is the admin tab within Rynoh Funding, and this is where you basically configure each of your accounts and the settings behind them in order to turn on RynohVerfi. So let's go ahead and we have our agency selected. Let's select our escrow account, and let's select all of our banks. So we'll go ahead and click search. And you'll see here in our demo environment, we already have Verify enabled for all of these different escrow accounts. Now, in your situation, if you don't have this check mark, you're going to click this edit button over on the right-hand side, and it will take you in here to the Manage Account Details screen. So you'll see here there's a toggle immediately for Verify. So you're going to want to switch this and make sure that this is switched to the on setting. So once this is flipped on, that essentially turns on RynohVerfi for this particular account. Now, there are a few other settings here within the Verify tab that you're going to want to take a look at. So the first one, as I mentioned earlier, is your verification criteria. So our default is to only verify any disbursement above $5,000. So you'll see here that that's locked down. We will not do verifications for smaller, since typically those are not where most of the wire fraud occurs. We want those higher dollar, $5,000 and up verifications. So we have that there. And then there's also an option here to select different verification criteria. So if you only want to have it coming from a certain payee or for a certain purpose, you can verify just those transactions as well and kind of distill that down and refine those inquiries with Verify. So for the purposes of today's demo, we'll leave this as amount greater than $5,000. Then there's also the option for known payees. So we'll take a look at this a little bit later, but these are essentially payees that you've identified as being trustworthy and not needing a verification. So you'll see here in our demo environment, we have a few known payees that have already been configured. So we're good to leave these as is, but if we wanted to, for example, remove a known payee, we can do that here in this screen by selecting it and clicking the Remove Selected button. We can also add a known payee using the Add button, where we could add a payee name, routing number, and account number. And then in the future, any transactions coming from that particular payee will not be verified. They'll essentially be exempt from the verification process because we've told Rynoh, we know this payee, we trust them, and we don't need to run verification for them. And just one quick look back here at our account information tab. This also is important because we need to make sure we identify which particular user has access to Verify. So in this demo instance, our name is Wiley Coyote, and you can see here that we do have Verify checked off, which means that Wiley is able to log in and view the verifications within the tool. So this is where we can go in and see and provide access. So we'll go ahead and click Save. We can see that we get a notification that our account has been saved, and we're good to go, and then hop in and start to see some of the verifications. So to see the verifications, you'll switch over to the Funding tab on this purple banner at the top. So let's go ahead and click Funding. And you'll see there's two different tools in here, RynohVerfi and Rynoh Payments. So for the purposes of today's demo, we'll be using the Verify tool. So we'll click here, and you'll see we start with a search criteria. So this lets us distill down and filter on which particular bank accounts we would like to view the verifications for. So for today's demo, let's pull in all of our bank accounts. We don't want to have any filters. And we'll also look at all of the different statuses. So we'll go ahead and click search, and you'll see we get several verification criteria back. So we get different statuses. Now, the great thing with Verify is we can click into each status and get a little bit more information. So on this particular one that came back as failed, we can see that the account ownership matching can't be performed because the account inquired on is closed. So this is a great red flag for us to go in, take a deeper look, and make sure that the bank account, routing number, and payee name are correct and accurate. So in this particular case, you will see that this was not marked as a known payee, which is basically told the RynohVerfi system, this is something we've looked into, we've confirmed it, and you're good to go. So this will not be on our list anymore because we have it here as authorized. There's also a paper trail within Rynoh, so you'll see which contact specifically authorized it and when they submitted that approval. So they'll also see here that we have a verified response. So this is great. The business name, bank account number, and routing number came back as an exact match. So we are good to go there. So this is basically how you can see your master list of verifications. So you can go through here and start to look through all of the different disbursements. You can see that some are verified. Some also may have action needed. So this is one where it's asking you to please verify that routing and account number because it looks to be invalid. So you're going to want to go in and check these, and this is a great red flag for any disbursement that may have some type of issue. Now, the last thing to look at here is if you want to set up notifications. So you'll see over here on the left-hand column, verify alert notifications. So let's go ahead and click here. And say we want to set this up so that we receive a notification every time something comes back as with either a warning or some type of concern about that particular transaction or disbursement. We would click the Add New button. Here's where we would select who's going to get the notification. So let's select Wile E. Coyote for our demo. And we can receive these notifications that there's been an issue via email or via text. So for this case, let's get an email notification when anything comes back as either warning or failed, as well as a text notification to our text number on file for warning or failed. And below, we'll select which accounts we want to hear that on. So let's select that for all of our accounts in the system, although you can certainly only select those applicable to this particular contact, and click Save. And now, instead of having to log into the tool, each user will be able to get text notifications and email notifications if anything comes up as a concern. The last feature within RynohVerfi that I'd like to show you today is the ability to manually add bank account and routing numbers to a particular disbursement that has come back as flagged. So this particular status is going to be called action needed. So let's go ahead and do a search and find our action needed transaction. And you'll see we do have one here that has this action needed status. So this is basically saying in here, if we click in, please verify the routing number and resubmit your inquiry. So we do have the ability to go in here and add or correct that routing number and bank account number with this edit entry button. So if we click edit entry, you'll see we can manually edit the routing number and account number, as well as the payee name. So we can maybe add another digit or whatever and add that there, and it would go ahead and rerun this transaction. So with that, that shows all the new functionality within RynohVerfi. I will show you as well if you ever need additional help, you do have access to this help menu up at the top where you'll see a user manual, online training links, and the ability to schedule online training, as well as our support@rynoh.com email, which you can always contact 24/7 if you do need any support with your Rynoh software. With that, I thank you so much for listening in on today's session, and we'll catch you on the next one.